Hey everyone, let's start healing. I like to say we have more in common than we think, and what we have in common can change the world. And Minnesotans right now who have more in common than they think, collectively, I believe they are changing the world. I believe they are changing the world. On Friday, I wrote a column for Substack that I did not publish. And on Saturday, as the events were unfolding, I realized, well, this doesn't 100% apply anymore because in a day's time, because of the way that we were reacting and feeling and feel around the murder of Alex Pretti. But I want to share some of what I wrote, and I'll interject some things. I realized that one of the things I was mentioning is that in this month of January, I tend to feel heavy grief because of losses in my family in this month. But that grief has a layer of another kind of grief on top of it. And that is the grief over where we are right now as a country. The way that we are in our world, we are closer than we think because we feel this energy. We feel this division. We feel the repercussions of the division. So I wrote, the state of our nation, its widening divisions and a rising inhumanity, it has been impossible to look away from. If you had told me even a year ago, as the Trump administration began dismantling protections that ICE agents often described as untrained, unqualified, and infiltrated by white supremacists, would one day shoot someone in the head, violently beat people, and rip them from their families, homes, cars, and daily commutes, all captured on video for the public to see, I would have said that could never happen. I must put on my glasses. I would not have believed this is something we would allow, or that we as a collective people could become this unrecognizable, this brutal, this tolerant. And of course, since Saturday, we are not so tolerant. So many have spoken out in anger, outrage, heartbreak over seeing what happened to Alex Pretti. So as I said, I wrote this on Friday before that. And I used the word tolerant, I said on Friday, because it is happening. It seems that we had been tolerant. I imagine Trump understands that he can do not only whatever he wants, but whatever we allow. What is Congress doing to bring this to a halt? Why isn't this the only story the media is covering? Which, of course, now in these last few days, it has been the only story. Thank God. No matter how much we gasp, condemn, and express outrage, we are still allowing this to happen. There is no clear tipping point. But perhaps now we are at a tipping point indeed. Perhaps we are now at a tipping point. We will see. We will see. But I wrote, And the administration knows this about there being no tipping point. 4 days ago. The administration responds to public alarm just enough to diffuse it, offering false rationale, and then it moves forward with this new status quo. We are so starkly divided that the possibility of reaching a shared boiling point, one strong enough to cut through our collective numbness, which we are not so numb in this moment right here, right now. But in that numbness, it felt increasingly unlikely. Most of us have seen it by now. Acquaintances, friends, perhaps former friends, publicly expressing support for these anti-immigration policies. Last week, I attended a summit hosted by the King Center in Atlanta, where panelists asked to reflect on the sense of hopelessness and resignation many people are feeling right now. From the audience, a retired Emory University professor asked a question that has stayed with me. He suggested that even supporters of this political moment, as in anti-immigration policies, they appear to have given up on hope for anything different. And he said, how do you reclaim we the people? How do we reclaim we the people, that whole idea, for people who have given up the democratic hope that we can be a united people? So if you're more liberal like me, he is speaking to people who are supportive of President Trump's administration. He's saying, he's speaking of people. He is saying, for those people who have given up hope that we can be a united people, how do you reclaim we the people for all of us? He added that those who profit most from division have already abandoned any belief in a unified democracy. And one of the panelists, Tanya Washington from Georgia State University College of Law, she said, no one is coming to save us. We, the people, are the ones we are waiting for. We have to figure this out. She said Dr. King's work wasn't one person. It was a moment of people who decided they were going to better their lives, their circumstances, and their communities. I think about that quote and I think about Minnesota. Also, what was brought up among the panelists at this forum in response to his question was that we can't give up hope and that there are many who want the betterment of all people. There are people who don't want the betterment of all people, who want us to give up hope. And that's something that we cannot do. That's something that we cannot do. And ironically, a point was made that people who are advocating for the betterment of all people, as we know, as someone like Dr. King, but also everyday working people like Alex Pretti, don't always get to see the impact of their work. They don't get to see their vision fulfilled. But I think I don't know. I want to say I think I don't know. I want to believe that we are at a tipping point, a boiling point right now, where even those of us that don't agree with each other can see the inhumanity that has taken place, and we can agree there's no place for that. Even before Alex Pretti was killed, he and the two people who were near him were pepper sprayed. They weren't even doing anything. They were pepper sprayed, and then we saw the woman pushed down violently. We've seen that and worse. We have seen so much with our own eyes. And what is covering, I feel, this country, our country as a whole, is that no one is safe. No one is safe. If you are a supporter of these policies, that doesn't mean that you're safe. It doesn't mean you're safe if you're white, if you're black, if you're young, if you're old, if you're a politician and you're on the side of these policies and you change your mind, are you safe? If you're an ICE agent and you decide that these tactics are inhumane, are you safe? So maybe one thing that we can collectively agree on is the inhumanity. The inhumanity. And that we all want the well-being of ourselves and our loved ones. We all have to come together somehow, some way. And it's not, I don't believe that it's one side or the other. And if we look back in history, maybe it was just one side. And the one side was enough to create the wave, to create enough of a tipping point over time. One side was enough. I don't know that that is true now, because we are evolving and evolving as human beings as time goes on. We develop more of an awareness of something bigger than ourselves. More, we of course, an element of us has always known that, obviously. But as time goes on, we have developed more of an ability to connect with that invisible part of us, that God spirit, God energy, holy energy. We have evolved as a people, all of us as humans. And it's going to take, I think, all of us. When I say all of us, I mean, no, I don't think 100% of us, obviously, is going to get on board. But it's going to take all political sides, all types of human beings, all walks of life, for us to come together and for this world and this country to be a better place. There is just no way I would have thought that what has gone on over the last year would have happened. It happened, as I've said already, because we tolerated it. We were like, oh my God. We still let it happen. we still let it happen. And there are people who have taken their cues from Donald Trump because he has been so brazen over the last 10 years in how he's pushed the envelope, and then he's pushed the rock, and then he pushes the boulder. He has been so brazen, and it has worked for him, that other people have taken that on themselves, and they've done that in their own ways for their own gain. But that is not what this life or this world is about. And we can disagree all we want, but things play out. The nature of things play out. In the end, love will win. In the end, love will win. But boy, don't we want it to happen in our lifetime? Don't we want it to happen sooner than later? And I was sharing with a friend, I was watching Don Lemon. I was watching his podcast, and he was talking with a cab driver, I believe. And the person, it was an older man, and he was so in denial. He was friendly, but he was very in denial about the things that were taking place. And this was before this past weekend. And I thought, what is making him hold on to this belief? What is it that he is getting out of holding so steadfast to this belief that is not for the betterment of all people? And then as Don Lemon was talking to him and was sharing facts with him, the man began to change his perspective, at least for the moment. But I was very curious about what do we get out of saying that this is okay, for the people who think that what's been taking place over the last 12 months is okay. Everyday people, what is gained personally by that belief? For me, I could say, well, what's gained for me by my belief in love, or my belief in the betterment of all people? What is gained for me in my belief that uh, is against children being ripped from their families, or people just being grabbed and taken on the street violently? What is gained from me believing that that is wrong, and believing in the opposite of that extreme? What's gained for me is peace and a knowing of the well-being of my brother, of my fellow man. That is what brings me fulfillment and wholeness, in seeing that my brother is well. Not only seeing that I'm well, but that my brother is well. And then if that brother over there is well, and that sister over there is well, if we're all well, then we all rise, in my mind. We don't all want the same things in terms of what we rise to. I might want to rise to this. You might want to rise to that. But if we all do well, if we are all well, then we all rise. But if I don't want you to do well, then I think that if you do well, then I must be losing something. And immediately that energy would have me feeling less than, would have me feeling not good, not whole. If I think if you do well and you have what I have, which is good, then I might lose what I have. Well, that takes a lot of thought, first of all. I'm already expending a lot of energy in that thought process. And it's making me feel diminished. It has me feeling diminished. And I'm feeling diminished on top of everything going on in my life that I have to deal with. Because on top of that, I'm worrying about you. I'm worrying about you over there. Why do we do that? We have more in common than we think. And what we have in common can change the world. It can change the world. And I think that we are called, in whatever way works for us, we are called, for us individually, we are called to do something about this. Maybe for you, it's sitting in a 30-minute meditation or prayer on this. Maybe for you, I don't know, it's having a get together with two friends and talking about how you feel about this, and how you feel about the world. And um, I don't know. Maybe for you, it's contacting your local uh, council people, your state representatives, your congressperson. Maybe it's contacting those officials and letting them know how you feel. Maybe for you, it's sending out the contact information. I heard this recommended by, I think, Tanya Washington on Instagram. Sending out the information for your officials to your community so that they know how to go about making the phone calls. They have the numbers, they have the emails. There's so many different things that may seem small that we can all do. Maybe it is for you befriending someone who is on the other side of the aisle. If you are a Democrat, maybe it's befriending someone who you know is MAGA. Or if you are a conservative Republican, maybe for you it is befriending someone who you know is a Democrat and sitting down and having a cup of coffee or inviting that person over to your home and agreeing that you're going to have a gentle conversation. It might be passionate, but a gentle conversation so that you can understand each other more. And maybe you can decide on what you do agree on. Maybe that's what the first conversation is. Hey, let's just talk about what we agree on, and we'll get to what we don't agree on next time. Maybe for you, it's reading a particular book that might be enlightening about something that you don't know in relation to this. But We have to do something to better this nation for the betterment of all. For the betterment of all. We have to do something in nonviolent, peaceful ways. We have more in common than we think, and what we have in common can change the world.